2025 Kentucky Derby, the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Kentucky Derby week continues, and tonight is the Kentucky Derby handicapping show, and we are going to be updating you on what is going on and what's happening with the Kentucky Derby. Before we start into your questions and into the Kentucky Derby handicapping show, we do have some late breaking news out of Churchill Downs this afternoon. Rodriguez, who was 9-1 in the early betting for the Kentucky Derby, he has been scratched. And according to Bob Baffert and the owners, an abundance of caution. They are going to point to the Preakness Stakes. So if you want to bet Rodriguez for the Preakness Stakes and the Preakness future wager, you can. But Rodriguez is scratching, and that means Baeza is in. And also it means that Baeza will get Flavian Prat as a jockey, and Luis Saez will ride the mighty Neoikos. So a lot developing. We're going to talk about how this is going to impact the pace of the race, how this is going to impact the early pace, how it's going to impact the betting. Baeza fits on a few qualifying criteria, but on the John White strike system, he has 4 strikes. So these announcements and developments, and we still render judgment. It was announced today by trainer Ken McPeak. He has a quarter crack, and it's been bleeding, and that's not a good sign. So he may still scratch, and we'll find that out tomorrow morning before the betting opens on Friday. But Baeza may still, not Baeza, but render judgment has a quarter crack, and we're still not official if he is a 100% go at this time. So we do have some other developments. 5G was scratched out of the Kentucky Oaks. So that's one of the speed horses scratched out of the Kentucky Oaks race as we continue to monitor the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby future wager. Remember, you can bet the Kentucky Oaks, the Kentucky Derby future wager. You can bet the Kentucky Oaks Turf Classic, Kentucky Derby pick 3. And there are some other 2-day bets, but with the speed going out in the Derby and some of the speed going out in the Kentucky Oaks, it kind of does change the complexion of that race. Now, the field, that's the only announcements we've had so far this week, but we're going to go through all of the horses, take your questions, take your comments on what's shaking out with this Derby field. I do think the scratch of Rodriguez, remember, now everybody will move up in terms of post position, which means Sovereignty now gets the curse of post position 17. And that means Sandman is safe. Sandman is not now in the clear out of post position 16. And Baeza will be in post position 20. And for betting purposes, he will be betting number 21. But Sandman's betting number does not change. So Sovereignty will still be betting number 18. Sandman will be betting number 17. But Sandman will be in post position 16. And Sovereignty will get the dreaded curse 0 for 45 in post position 17. So we'll go over this more. There's a lot more coming on. Also, Ken McPeak announcing on Wednesday, that Take Charge My Lady has a quarter crack. So she at this time is still going to be running in the Oaks. But again, there's another potential scratch. She was the second place finisher in the Ashland Stakes, and a lot of people kind of liked her after that race because she kind of rallied up that rail and finished second to Lacara, and Lacara is probably going to be one of the top 4 choices in the Kentucky Oaks. So a lot still developing with the field and the pace of this race. but 5G has been scratched. Render Judgment has a quarter crack, and Rodriguez is scratched. Post positions, if you have not seen them, Citizen Bull now is post position 1. He was that before. Rodriguez scratched, and Sandman betting number 17, but post position number 16. Now let's take a look at the contenders for the 2025 Kentucky Derby. Remember, this is your show. This is, I do the show to have you to get your opinions out here, to kind of handicap along in real time and get other people's opinions. We want everybody to talk about their opinions. Remember, there's no bad opinions here. I'm never going to talk anybody out of a 20-1 or a 30-1 or 40-1. And let's try to keep it focused in on some of the data that we have, and the pace scenario that we can see from past races. We don't want to get into too much conjecture, and I don't want to get into drugged up trainers and drugged up horses and things like that. Let's try to keep it so that we have new handicappers, people handicapping the Kentucky Derby. They're trying to learn about pace. So when I take a look at Citizen Bull, I see 4 wire-to-wire victories. And that tells me he's an early 8 on the Quirin speed points. So he has to be factored in on that pace because he's in the 1 post and he doesn't want to get out of there slow, because the 1 post hasn't won since 1986. And more importantly, a lot of, even with that new gate, the last 3 years, the horses in post position 1 have not done well. And in fact, post positions number 2 haven't done well in the last couple of years. So I still think post position 1 is not good, because they have to be sent. There's no other choice. Even if you get out of the gate good, you got American Promise is going to come over. Neoquos is going to come over. The jockeys have a tendency to all drift inside. And if you don't get out, you're just going to get trapped at the rail. So that is something to look at. Now, again, Citizen Bull won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. In over 40 years, we've only had 2 horses win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and win the Kentucky Derby. That was Street Sense and Nyquist. So Nyquist, between Street Sense and Nyquist, there had been a long time. So Citizen Bull does need the lead, and I don't have the exact stat, but I thought I remembered, you know, even a lot of these long shots that have won over the years, a lot of those horses had ran 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in their final prep. And I want to say it's been like 40 years since a horse ran 4th in their final prep. And Citizen Bull not only ran 4th, he ran 4th in a 5-horse field, and Barnes barely finished the race. And good point, Martin Garcia, he's a B rider. He hasn't been to the Derby in 10 years. I don't know. This isn't a rider in peak form. This is a lot more. Yeah, he up and comer back in the day, and then Baffert kind of abandoned him, and then he was not getting a lot of mounts. So Citizen Bull, you're going to get your odds. He is going to be up there on the speed end, but there's a lot of question marks on Citizen Bull. Alex says the Bull has got 2 strikes, a bad dosage. Yes, a 9.00 dosage. And post position 8, 2 for 4. Burnham Square is another one that moves up. Siggy Mendoza says Citizen needs to be aggressive from the gate, and I don't know if he wants to ride that way. And so that's post position number 1 in Citizen Bull. Now we go to the next horse, which is the mighty Neoquos. He's a Florida bred. Another one with a little bit higher dosage than you'd like to see. He's got no stakes win, so that's one of his strikes. Now he is going to get Luis Saez rather than Flavian Prat, and there's a little bit more speed in the pedigree for Neoquos. So I'm not sure he benefits from the scratch of Rodriguez, but maybe they want to get a little bit more aggressive because there's one less speed in the race. And maybe Neoquos kind of gets sent a little bit more. I do know that Luis Saez, he officially wired the Kentucky Derby with maximum security, and then he was disqualified. So officially, Luis Saez didn't get the win with maximum security, but he crossed the finish line first. And then Flavian Prat, who got the win on Country House, did not cross the finish line first, and he officially has a Kentucky Derby win. So a lot of moving parts with these disqualifications. And Michelle says, my gut is Cold Battle hitting the board. She's confident. She hasn't felt this confident since Mine That Bird. Took it at 50-1. 58 Breezing says he might play Neoquos out of spite. And we've got Neoquos, no strikes, no stakes wins. He's a Florida bred. Now he gets Luis Saez. One thing to note, of his 7 races, 5 of them are sprint. So I'm not sure he has the bottom conditioning to really be ready for a 1.25 mile race off 2 preps. Now, he did get a good conditioning base as a 2-year-old, so we'll see. Post position number 3, the Big Gray, Final Gambit. Final Gambit getting bet down early. He's 17-1 in the early betting. And Final Gambit is by Not This Time. Now, Not This Time ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile as a 2-year-old and was highly regarded, and then really never got a chance to run in his 3-year-old campaign. And he's out of a Tappet mare, so a good distance pedigree. The Axeman, Luan Machado, is the jockey on Final Gambit. Now, he's a closer. If you notice, 11th and all the way up to 1st in the last race, 9th all the way up to 1st in his maiden race. He only ran 1 race as a 2-year-old, and Final Gambit getting good at the right time. And he is going to be right around 15-20-1. Now, one thing you should note is always be leery of the win odds. One thing I've noticed is look at the exacta payoffs and the Kentucky Oaks double payoffs. So don't even though Final Gambit might be 17-1 on the win odds, his exacta odds might be 25-1. And his Oaks Derby doubles might be 25-30-1. So on Derby and Oaks Day, I'm never concerned about win odds because I'm playing exactas and doubles. And those are the payoffs that I'm looking at because there's a lot of win money and there's a lot of people out there betting early on in the day. And yes, Dan, Rodriguez is scratched. He's out of the Kentucky Derby. Baeza is now in. He's going to be betting number 21 for Baeza. He gets the 20th post. And Final Gambit will be out of post position number 3. And he stays in post position number 3 and betting number 3. Now, for Final Gambit, first time on the dirt. He is a Final Fractions double qualifier. And it's the first time Kentucky Derby mount for the Axeman, Luan Machado. So Final Gambit out of post position number 3 betting number. Now the next contender we have is, Alex Diaz. He's in the room here. He sent me some notes. So I'm going to kind of give you some of his notes he took all of my sheets and my videos and then kind of made a handicapping checklist, which I may do this next year as a official Kentucky Derby betting manifesto and add it to the prospectus. But he said only trust horses with a buyer between 98 and 103, Brisnet between 100 to 102. Be cautious if they fall outside that range, and don't chase the fastest horse type. It's a trap. Yes, it's been a while since the fastest horse coming into the Kentucky Derby has won. So that's just from Alex, and he's going to give us more insights here. Now, Rodriguez is scratched. We're going to go right by him. American Promise, the coach, Dwayne Lucas. This is the 151st Kentucky Derby. This is the 51st starter of Kentucky Derby for Dwayne Lucas. 4 Kentucky Derby wins. He won with the filly in Winning Colors. He won with Charismatic. And he also has done very well in Triple Crown races. The one thing about American Promise, he comes in off a 49-day layoff. And even though the Virginia Derby was a points race, it is not a graded stakes race. And this is the first time they've ran the Virginia Derby. And the meet was only 3 days, so the track was very fast. And it was probably the weakest Kentucky Derby prep. And he ran it on it was a 1 mile, a mile and an eighth, but it was a 1 turn mile and an eighth. So they only went around 1 turn. That is why the fractions and the final time are very fast. Now, the positives, he's by Justify, who won the Triple Crown. And he's also a $750,000 horse. He's got experience with 9 races. It took him a while to kindly peak into that Beyer speed figure, but he is a May fool. He's not even 3 years old on Saturday. He doesn't even turn 3 until later on in the month of May. So there's things to like and not like about American Promise. Daryl says he beat Getaway Car by 7 lengths. Alex is in the room. Thanks for the tips, Alex. Anybody else like American Promise or anything to recommend American Promise? Anybody else liking American Promise? Alex Diaz says American, big buyers, strong strides, a front runner, and 2 strikes. So that's kind of the quick Cliff Notes summary on American Promise. So that's a good summary. I like those. We should have a summary on each of these horses. Yes, a very long stride. He's 17 hands. And if it's a fast track, he's probably going to do very well at Churchill Downs with that big, long stride. Daryl says the preps to focus on: Florida Derby, Louisiana Derby, and Santa Anita Derby. Historically, they've done really well. American Promise, going to be right around 13, 14 to 1 in the early betting. Now we go to the UAE shipper, Admire Daytona. UAE horses from Dubai are 0 for 19. That includes Forever Young, who was 3rd place last year as one of the favorites. Now, the UAE Derby this winter was Admire Daytona, and Admire Daytona went wire to wire, but the time was very slow in the UAE Derby. And Dan says, trust the coach. He'll send him to the lead and let him catch him. Could be true. Robert likes American Promise. He thinks he's got a shot. Now, Admire Daytona lost to Luxor Cafe twice. He's got 2 wins in 2 seconds and 6 starts. And he does have 3 races as a 2-year-old and a nice pattern of breaks in his races as a 3-year-old, although he is going to be on a quick turnaround from the United Arab Emirates Derby this year. Now, the next horse is Luxor Cafe. Japan shippers are 0 for 8. This includes horses like Lonnie. Last year, T.O. Password finished 5th at long odds. Benefactor says Luxor Cafe is coming in with identical time form ratings as Forever Young. Can slingshot off the right-hand turns, but not as good on the left-hand turns. So, yes, when you watch his replays, he's had right-hand turns races. He's won by more lengths, like his last race. And then when he's went the other way, the American way, left-hand turns, he's won by closer distances. So Richard is throwing out the UAE and Japanese horses. They look slow. Luxor Cafe, 6 starts, 4 wins. He's won 4 straight races. He's got a couple of mile and 1/8 races. And I think he's going to be competitive. He gets the Magic Man, a good world-renowned jockey on him in this race. And he's by American Pharaoh, but his dosage is a little on the high side. Now, the mare was a grade 2 stakes winner, so that's a positive for me. Daryl says Luxor Cafe 152 on the same track that T.O. Password did a 154. So I like that type of handicapping, even though tracks are different from year to year. At least you're comparing the same track, same distance. And one thing about Japan racing, they time right from the start of the race. So I think there's not as much run up and some of that goofy stuff that we have with some of the different tracks in America. And yes, the middle track of the Nakayama stretches uphill. So a little bit more demanding type races in Japan. So a lot of times you'll see these very slow races in Japan. It's not because the horses are that slow. Some of these tracks have hills and they go uphill at the end and they have turns. So you kind of have to be careful comparing some of the Japan speed figures. I think at 15 to 16 to 1, Luxor Cafe is worth a shot. I thought Forever Young was a little bit over bet last year. Yes, he does drop 2 pounds from that last race, 128 pounds to 126 pounds. And Luxor has wins on a sloppy track, so that's good. If we get a sloppy track or a little bit muddy, but I don't know. We've got 90 minutes between the Turf Classic and the Derby, and they'll run those tractors over. And unless it keeps on raining in the late afternoon, they usually can dry out that track in those 90 minutes. UAE form keeps on improving each year. If they get the right horse over here, I think they can do well. Admire Daytona is about 50 to 1 in the early betting. So if you'd like Admire Daytona, he's got a good dosage. He's got a good pedigree. That's the type of horse you can use in exactas and trifectas. Next Contender. Oh, I did want to put in, remember the Derby prospectus is available. It's got all of the information from all the spreadsheets. You can click on the link here. But remember the speed figure patterns, Rodriguez is now scratched, but horses that are sitting nice are Journalism, a 99 to a 104 to a 108. That's a good pattern. Baeza now in. He went from a 79 to an 88 to a 98 to a 107. That's a good pattern for Baeza. Tistastic went from a 90 and a 90. He paired that up and then went to 100. And then Sandman went from a 91. He paired that up. Then he went to a 95, and then he went to a 101. So I think Sandman sitting on a nice pattern as well. So Journalism, the morning line favorite. He is about 3 to 1 in early betting. He's got the fastest buyer. He's got the fastest Brisnet. And overall, not a lot not to like here. 4 for 5. He's won 4 straight. Even though he's never shipped outside California, he's won at Del Mar. He's won at Los Ale. He's won at Santa Anita. He's by Curlin. Curlin, of course, ran 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. He ran in the Preakness. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic. So Journalism with Umberto Rispoli, who's had a couple of 40 to 1 shots in the Kentucky Derby, gets a good post position. And the only knock on Journalism, he's been facing those small fields out west, but he's been closing strong. He's got a good final fraction. He's got a good dosage. He's got a good mare. The mare won a grade 2 stakes race. The mare ran 26 times. She won almost $800,000. And he usually gets good position early on. He's going to face a little bit more faster pace in this race. Now in the San Felipe, the pace was slow and he ran down that speed. So I thought that was a good race from Journalism in the San Felipe. So Richard says he looks like a Derby winner. He's all in on Journalism. And Travis is excited for Derby week. He's ready to rumble. He's like Cold Battle. Journalism, fastest in the field, elite figures across all systems, 0 strikes, a tactical style, according to Alex. Yeah, honestly, all systems go for Journalism. 0 strikes, good speed figures, good breeding, final fractions, double qualifier, good post. He's going to have to either get a rough trip or just get a bad ride to not finish in the top 6. I just see Journalism as a top 6 type of contender. So Benefactor says he can find traffic in those Santa Anita match races. We'll see what happens here in the Derby. Yeah, he had a little bit of trouble in the last race. I thought that was more Barnes trying to trap him inside than journalism's fault. I think Barnes, the rider on Barnes, came in and purposely trapped journalism in that last race. Yeah, Alex, thanks for watching and supporting the channel and watching the videos, and have a good Derby week, Oaks and Derby week. Dan says journalism Baeza rematch here down the stretch. Could be. You know, those two horses went at it. What I like about it is after Baeza was passed, he came back on against journalism, and that was coming out of a maiden race. So you could argue that both those horses are both improving. Now, the one thing is you can't have it both ways. Now, if journalism faced small fields, then you got to say that Baeza faced small fields. Now, that doesn't mean they can't win here. I'm just saying, and what I like is Baeza is probably going to be about 30-1, and journalism's probably going to be about 3-1. So, you know, nothing wrong with Baeza if you're looking more for a price. So Daryl says he's going to put Baeza in every spot. He had Rodriguez in all the bets. He loved Rodriguez, so now he's going to switch over to Baeza. And that's the scoop on journalism. Burnham Square, what I like about him is the pedigree. Linda was a grade 2 stakes winner, his mom. And then the second mare, he's a homebred, was also a stakes winner for the Wyndhams, a grade 2. Brian Hernandez saved ground last year. I think he's a good Churchill Downs jockey who, if you watch a lot of Churchill Downs races, he likes to save ground. He's one of the few jockeys that is not afraid to run inside horses, him and Corey Lannery. So if I had to pick a horse to get a good trip, I think Burnham Square could save in every inch of ground. Stole It Breezing says, if you like journalism, you need a publisher. Yes, you got to box up the journalism. You need a publisher. And remember what the announcer said, write it down. Journalism is the best in the West, he said after winning the Santa Anita Derby. And you could publish that, according to Stole It Breezing. Silver Charms says he's heard Rispoli sometimes has issue in big races. Siggy Mendoza says short fields are not real races, and neither is a 20-horse field. That's a good point. People make comments about small fields. Well, big fields have the same problem too. A lot of these horses are getting in trouble. You get inside post, you get speed duels, you get horses that have to alter their running style. So a lot of goofy things can happen in a 20-horse field, just like a 2 or 3 horse field. Jeff Graves says Citizen Bull is the only legit speed left. Toss the champ, and you could be regretting it on Saturday. He had one bad race and everybody's dismissing. So he's a big Citizen Bull fan. East Avenue, I do think moves up because of the speed. There's one less speed horse with Rodriguez. I think American Promise and Neoquos both might go a little bit now with Rodriguez out. Daryl says agree to Jeff. Roger says he's going with lucky number 7 this year. That's the way he's going to roll. Roger with number 7. So Burnham Square won the Bluegrass. It's been a long time since a horse that ran in the Bluegrass in Street Sense won the Kentucky Derby. So that's something to keep in mind. Overall, the prep race hasn't been good. Now, you do got to remember for a few years, it was synthetic. So for a couple of those years, even though Street Sense ran in the money on the synthetic, he won the Kentucky Derby. Now, Grande, no 2-year-old races. Horses that did not run at 2-year-old are 3 for 74. They call it the Curse of Apollo. Todd Pletcher is only 2 for 65. Both of his wins have been in the slop. I think Grande moves up with the scratch of Rodriguez. I think he'll be sitting 5th or 6th in the 4 furlong, 6 furlong out. He's got a jockey who's won the Kentucky Derby 3 times in John Velasquez. So I think Grande benefits from the scratch of Rodriguez if the pace is a little bit slower. And Grande, his past performances, he's by Curlin, just like journalism. And 3 starts, no races as a 2-year-old. John Velasquez is going to ride back after not being on him for the Wood Memorial. And he ran second to Rodriguez, and Rodriguez had a big speed figure. Grande has a 101 Brisnet and a 97 Beyer. So that puts him in the top 7 or 8 Beyer, and one of the few horses with a 100 plus speed figure in Grande for Todd Pletcher out of post position, actually betting number 10. And now he's going to move up with post position number 9. Now, Flying Mohawk is by Caracante, a turf horse. He ran on the synthetic. He qualifies on final fractions. First time on the dirt. He's lightly raced. I'm not sure he's really a closer. I'm not sure he's a front runner. They are taking the blinkers off on Flying Mohawk. And, he ran in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, came off the pace the last time. Before that, and he was in an allowance race. He broke his maiden at Churchill Downs on the turf. He's never ran on the dirt. So a lot to consider. Curlin, of course, won the Belmont with Palace Malice. Preakness with Exaggerator. Rich Strike was by Keen Ice, a son of Curlin. So a lot of distant sire influence in Curlin in this race with journalism and with also Grande. Burnham Square's best time for the 1 1/8 was 1:51. The track was slow that day. It did favor closers on the tail half of that day. He did run a big race in the Holy Bull. He ran a big maiden race. He won by 9 lengths. So Alex Burnham's a good closer, 2 strikes, but the Bluegrass has not been the most productive prep, kind of wrapping up the quick cliff notes on Burnham Square. Now we go to East Avenue. Is he a need to lead type? He won at Ellis Park. He went wire to wire. He set fast fractions in the Bluegrass. He won the Keeneland Futurity going wire to wire. But then he stumbled out of the gate in the Breeders' Cup when he was bet down. And then he kind of faded in the Bluegrass, but he didn't bleed. And he gets Manny Franco on for the first time. And he set fast fractions in the Bluegrass. So kind of an interesting horse, depending on with the scratch of Rodriguez. If he can show more speed, he's going to help set a fast pace. But if he lays a little bit off, it could be Citizen Bull on an easy lead. Now, Burnham Square, a high dosage index. Burnham Square, the chess piece horse of the workouts. He gets lucky post position number 8. And the odds of Baeza closing, I think out of that 20 post Marti, I think he's got to come from mid-pack. I don't think he has enough raw speed in this race to be in the top 4 or 5 early. But I do think he can come off the pace. Even in that race against Rodriguez that he lost, he made a mid-race move. He made a move from 5th in the Santa Anita Derby. So I think he can sit 6th or 7th and make kind of that mid-race move from Baeza. Mike Rapoli has got a big effort from Grande expected from Alex. He's going to be right around 17-1 in the early betting. Daryl says journalism's time, 148.3, perfect time in the Santa Anita Derby. So East Avenue, 5 starts, 2 preps. This will be his 3rd race off a layoff. A lot of people like that 3rd race off a layoff. And yeah, Silver Charm, the Bluegrass used to be a big prep in the 70s. A lot of horses won in the 60s and 70s off that Bluegrass prep. And for a while, it was only 2 weeks out from the Derby. Then it was 3 weeks out. Then it was 4 weeks out. Now it's a month out, the Bluegrass. And that's why it's hard to look at a lot of these with the schedule changes and the final prep changes. You kind of have to update your stats, and you kind of have to keep on adjusting the time frame for the stats you look at, because 100 years ago, it was a different game. 40 years ago, it was a different game for the Bluegrass and prepping for the Kentucky Derby. Dan says Baffert said Citizen Bull needed the race in the Santa Anita Derby. And Publisher, he's winless. He lost to Sandman in the Arkansas Derby. He lost to American Promise in a maiden special weight race. So he's had his chances. He's ran 7 times. He's faced good horses, but he did lose to Speed King. He lost to Cold Battle. He lost to Sandman. He lost to American Promise. I think he's going to be closing, but I really don't see Publisher as a win contender. Now, second, third, fourth, fifth, I guess you can make the case for Publisher. Grande, strong strides. Ragazin 0.5, wide post. No 2-year-old races. That's the summary for Alex on Grande. Luxor Cafe has 3 of 4 wins on a muddy track. Grande's improving every race. Grande, a good thoroughgraph speed figure. Not a lot of foundation for him. Did Garcia ride Citizen Bull in the juvenile, or could Smith get switched in? Well, they haven't announced that yet. I mean, with Rodriguez scratched, if Baffert wants to make the ultimate jockey switch, and they may. I mean, if I was Baffert, I probably would. So we'll see if Baffert wants to get Matt Garcia off. Normally, it'd be kind of dirty pool. I do think since now there is a rule, once a jockey's named on a horse, I think the rule is that if Citizen Bull were to win, both jockeys get a share. So Mike Smith would get a winner's share and Matt Garcia would get a winner's share, and he doesn't even have to ride the horse. So a lot of times they don't do that, but that doesn't mean they won't do that. So good point from JL. No official word yet, but that would not surprise me. Matt Garcia would still get the money and wouldn't even have to ride the horse. So Mike Smith has won the Derby as a favorite. He's won it as a long shot with Giacomo. He won it as a favorite with Justify. Mohawk had a troubled trip the last couple times around. Yes, Flavian Prat is going to be on Baeza, and Luis Saez is now going to be on Neoquos in post position number 2. And now we've got Tistastic, the second Steve Asmussen horse, closer running style. He won the Louisiana Derby. They kind of switched up his running style. When you look at his past performances, he used to be closer to the pace. Look against, in the street sense, he made a mid-race move against Sovereignty. He was a second at the stretch call at Kentucky Downs on the turf. And now look at the last 3 races, he's coming further back, and they've changed up his running style. He beat Chunk of Gold in Louisiana Derby. He's by the first crop of Tiz the Law, who won the Belmont Stakes, second in the Kentucky Derby. Steve Asmussen 0 for 26 in the Kentucky Derby. And he's got 2 horses, Publisher and Tistastic. Joel Rosario rides. Joel Rosario rides the Kentucky Derby really well. I think he rode a really good race a couple of times. He's finished 5th with some good rides. And also he's won the Kentucky Derby with Orb. So I think a lot of systems, a lot of positive factors for Tistastic in the Kentucky Derby. Now, Williams says he bet Coal Battle if it rains, and Rodriguez in the Preakness. Silver Charm likes East Avenue. Luis Saez, going to be on Mighty Neoquos. They said a foot injury, and they're going to plan on running in the Preakness. They said a minor foot injury, and right now they said abundance of caution. The plan is to run in the Preakness. Bruised foot for Rodriguez. And let's see. Tistastic, number 14. Render Judgment, 15-1 odds in the early betting. Ken McPeak trying to win his second straight Derby. Of course, they announced today that he had a quarter crack, so he may scratch with Render Judgment. We don't know. Number 16 is Coal Battle. He's by Coal Front. Of course, he won 4 in a row. He won the Rebel Stakes, the Smarty Jones, the Springboard Mile, the John Lafitte. 5 wins and 8 starts. And Coal Battle keeps his jockey on him. And Lonnie Briley, this isn't his first rodeo, first Kentucky Derby starter. So a lot to like on Coal Battle. I like the fact that he went wire to wire in the Smarty Jones. He also came a little bit off the pace and a fast pace in the Rebel. Another fast pace in the Arkansas Derby. He made his move. I would say Baeza probably going to be right around 15-1 once people start to know that he's in the race. But a lot of people don't know about these scratches. So Baeza is going to be higher odds, because that's why Rich Strike was 80-1, because nobody thought he was in the race. and people just aren't used to betting number 21. There's already $1 million in the pot, and a lot of people that bet that, they don't know that Rodriguez is scratched. They won't even cancel their bets, and they won't rebet into the race. So Baeza's odds are probably going to stay pretty high. Stolip Breezing says Cole Battlemore an 8.5 furlong horse. Baffert has come back after the 3-year suspension. Publisher may have too much of a turn of foot. He can grind past the tiring. If he lays back, he can definitely pass horses. Cole Battle, number 16. Sandman, enter the Sandman, number 17. Of course, he won the Arkansas Derby. He's a big gray, has been 2005 since we've had a gray. He gets Jose Ortiz, who rode him in the Arkansas Derby. Jose Ortiz also rode him last year as a 2-year-old. He's got experience with 8 starts. What I like about him, he's one of the few horses to win at 7 furlongs. As a 2-year-old, he also won as a 3-year-old, and he's been used to facing fast paces. I think he's in good conditioning. They haven't been working him out too heavy, and remember, he missed a few workouts when the weather was really bad at Oaklawn, so they kind of passed on some workouts. So I think he's a fresh horse with 8 lifetime starts. Silver Charm likes Tistastic as his top pick. 58 Breezing likes Final Gambit and the Sandman Exacta Box. Tiz Peaking as a closer. Final Fractions, Squabble Qualifier. Yep, right on the edge. 1 strike, good dosage. So there's a lot of reasons to like Tistastic. He's going to be right around 18-1. Sandman's right around 5-1 in the early betting. I think he'll go off that. Mark Cassie 0 for 10 in the Derby, and Jose Ortiz 0 for 9 in the Kentucky Derby. Now, Sovereignty gets the lucky post 17, 0 for 45. He's going to be betting number 18, but now he moves into that 17th post position. He's by Into Mischief, who has 2 Kentucky Derby winners in Mandaloon, who got put up by disqualification, and Authentic, who won the September Kentucky Derby. Sovereignty out of a Bernardini mare. He's a homebred. I always like that. He fits on the Final Fractions qualifier, and Florida Derby is always a good productive prep. So Junior Alvarado did not ride him in the Florida Derby. Manny Franco did. So he goes back to his number 1 jock. So I like that for Sovereignty as well. Daryl says put Tiz right in the finish at the end. Sandman taking a lot of action in the place and show pools more than journalism. Yep, the people like the big gray, and he's got a lot of owners. And then one of their owners has got like 10 million followers on Twitter, and he's tweeting out lots of photos of Sandman. So a lot of the people just know Sandman from that guy with 10 million followers. Sandman's going to get bet heavy in the exactas and the trifectas. Nini says Baeza underneath. Haley says she likes Cole Battle, and she's got an interesting avatar there. Thorograph, Regress in the Last. I think that's for Tistastic or Cole Battle. Which one is that, Silver Charm? I'm not sure if Rodriguez is listed in the Preakness pool, but Rodriguez going to point for the Preakness. Chunk of Gold is post position number 19, or number 19 on the betting. Of course, he ran big races in the Risen Star and the Louisiana Derby. Ted West, his first Kentucky Derby. The jockey, Jared Loveberry, ran second with 2 fills a couple of years ago when Mage won the Kentucky Derby. Alex Diaz says Cole Battle 1 strike, slowest closer, poor stride, kind of a smaller stride. And Richard says Empire Maker had a quarter crack before the Derby. Yeah, he still ran in the money, but a lot of people knew that week. That was before Twitter and Facebook and all of this stuff. And the insiders kind of knew that Empire Maker was having some foot issues with Bobby Frankel. So what will happen with post position? They all move up Smarty. So Sandman is officially post position 16. Sovereignty gets post position 17. Chunk of Gold gets post position 18. And Owen Almighty 19. And post position 20 is by Aza. So 0 for 45. And the curse of post position 17 goes to Sovereignty. Sandman can now win the Kentucky Derby because he's now not in post position number 17. Puka, the super breeder, Dornock, and Mage the last couple of years. Now he gets Baeza in the race. Nowhere Man says Coal Battle and Owen Almighty had interrupted training this week. Yes, some possible issues. Owen Almighty hasn't been coming out every day. He's been coming out under the cover of darkness, not a lot of galloping. He may scratch as well, but no official word yet on Owen Almighty. Again, a lot of rumors this time of the year. We have to kind of wait and see until it all shakes out, but render judgment with a quarter crack. The trainer, Ken McPeak, verified that. They have not scratched him yet. And then some other rumors with some other horses, but Rodriguez is scratched, a foot bruise. They are going to point for the Kentucky Derby. Now, Baeza is in the race. The big story here is Dornock and Mage both won Triple Crown races, and out of that mare Puka, and Puka is the mare of Baeza. Also, he has the second fastest Brisnet speed figure. He ran second to journalism. He's been training towards this race. He had a nice gallop out in that Santa Anita Derby. Christopher says he's glad Baeza is in. He'll take money for him. He's got 4 strikes. CB walked the last 2 days, no gallops. So that's information from Nowhere Man. Silver Charm says interesting on that. Probably 8-1 on Baeza. I think he'll be a little bit higher. A lot of people don't know that he's in number 21. People, he's listed as an also eligible in the official program. So a lot of people, there's a lot of money that bets on the Derby that doesn't even know who's in the race. So I think you'll get about 15-1 on Baeza. Owen, no gallop today, according to Nowhere Man. Publisher is like a Nation Lore. Remember, that was another famous maiden from out west that ran in the Kentucky Derby. I think the trainer's name was Mung Cho. He had a good run for about 4 or 5 years. This Asian trainer would run all these long shots and big races out west and in the Kentucky Derby. Ortiz is on fire, according to Silver Charm. I assume he means Jose Ortiz. Christopher Potts, I'm with you. I'm hoping he's single digits. Silver Charm likes Big Sav. Sandman, Tappet, 0 strikes. To Arkansas Derby prep, peaking, smooth stride, a nice long stride on Tappet. Good pedigree, good summary from Alex. Drifted badly, but that was after he had the lead. He's a Tappet. Tappets do crazy things down the stretch. Street Sense might be a repeat. Yeah, we had some. Tistastic was in that race. Sandman was in that race. Sovereignty was in that race. It ended up being a pretty productive race overall with some good horses in that big field. Skipping and dancing after the Florida Derby monster, Kenneth says, for Sovereignty. Sovereignty, final fractions, double qualifier, peaking, a late closer, only 1 strike. He actually did win at Churchill. Maybe I've got to check my spreadsheet because he did win at Churchill. He won the Street Sense race. So Sovereignty, I got to double check my spreadsheet while I'm on the air here so I don't forget. Data, race at Churchill Downs. Yeah, Sovereignty did run at Churchill Downs by Baeza. He won the Street Sense Stakes last year as a 2-year-old. So yes, he did win the Street Sense Stakes race at Churchill. My spreadsheet does show him as running at Churchill on the dirt. So that's Baeza. Let's give it out. First off, everybody quick give out your pick. Top pick in the Derby or top 2. We'll run down, kind of get a consensus on some top picks. Sandman was an ECW legend. Alvarado back on Sovereignty. Chunk of Gold has paired up a couple of 5s in the thoroughgraphs. He could improve at the right time, according to Antonio. Somebody else likes Chunk's thoroughgraph. Silver Charm does. Nini says he's talking himself into using Chunk and Gold in the try. Rodriguez is listed in the Preakness Futures if you want to bet him, number 34. And let's see. No new numbers, Daryl. The betting numbers stay the same. The post position numbers all move inside. So everybody moves up 1 post, but their betting number is the same. So don't change your betting number. The official program has been printed, and Baeza will be number 21. American Promise will be post position number 5. Betting number 5 and post position number 4. So no new post position, no new betting numbers. Pratt with Baeza and post position 20. Owen Almighty, yeah, the Pat Day Mile could have went there. Now maybe in the Derby. Cold Battle to prefer working in the dark. Yeah, he's been working out 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. Lonnie Briley likes to get him up and out of the stall and ready for the track. Big Sav has not run a triple divot binder. Nope. I think his fastest, I can't remember. I know he had a 99 on the Brisnet, but I think he had 95 Florida Derby. Lucas, 51st starter, 151st Derby, post position 5. It's all coming together, according to Andrew. It's all going to be American Promise. We don't even need to run the race. Everything is coming up 5s and Dwayne Lucas. He's the biggest horse, 17 hands. He weighs over 1,100 pounds, and 151st Derby, the 51st starter for Dwayne Lucas. Yep, we do know that. Horse gets a good trip, they'll win the race or do well. And remember, Dwayne Lucas always says people have opinions, horses have the facts. Big Brown, 1 out of the 20 posts. What can Brown do for you? Yeah, Alex says Baeza has to be in the ticket. Huge Santa Anita effort. Elite Figs, 4 strikes. Big chaos risk. Yeah, big risk, big reward with Baeza. Journalism odds, if we get more scratches, only 16 or 17 run. Yeah, if we get a couple of scratches, journalism's going to be 2-1. You will get higher odds if we get no more scratches. Basically, we got 20 horses. Your exacta odds will go down. Your Kentucky Oaks Derby odds go down. Your pick 5 payoffs go down. You want 20 horses in this race because a lot of people box and they wheel. There's a lot of dumb money bet in this race. You want as many horses as possible. You want as much chaos as possible if you are a betting fan on Saturday. How about some long shots? Who's a good long shot at higher odds than 15-1 to be in the top 3? Dave says Baeza may be on the 3rd page of the track program. Yes, he'll get overlooked. That's why Sarava paid so much in the Belmont. Yeah, so you get weird things happening on these weird races with number 21s. People don't understand when it says also eligible. There's already $1 million in the pot. A lot of those people won't even cancel their ticket on Rodriguez. He already had 100 grand on him. So yeah, you know, the odds are going to be kind of weird in this race. American Promise and Journalism, Baeza and Luxor Cafe in the super box for Anthony. Sovereignty doesn't like the Churchill Surface. Smarty says he likes Sandman now, that he doesn't need to buck the trend, but his sleeper is Final Gambit. Nini says trying to identify will be closest to the pace, then hold on. That would be a good, if you figure that one out, Nini, let me know. I do think a horse like, sitting just off the pace, you got, I don't think Sandman will be that far back. I think Tistastic could be sitting 8th or 9th. I think Grande could be sitting 5th or 6th. Cold Battle could be sitting 5th, 6th, 7th. They could inherit the lead at some point if Cold Battle stops. Baeza at about 15-1 in the Derby. Silver Charm says Sovereignty and Tistastic. Final Gambit going to fall back a little bit and Rail Ride. Anthony, who's out? Rodriguez is scratched, Anthony. Rodriguez is scratched. Baeza is in. Journalistic and Sovereignty for Nini. Luxor Cafe and Journalism. Long shot is Grande, looks like a lot like Mage. Jerry W is going with Chunk of Gold across. And Alex, here's his summary picks. Tier 1, Journalism, Sandman, Final Gambit, Tistastic, and Sovereignty. Box them up. Alex says go full. I think he had a term. What did he tell me? Full armor plan. Alex had a full armor plan for the Kentucky Derby. That's his full armor plan. I like that strategy. Jim says Grande, Fastest final fractions. Remember, Rodriguez was a double qualifier. Now we're down to 7 of them. Nini says she loves sheriffs. Can't see him winning. Love for underneath. The grays are Final Gambit, Chunk of Gold, and Sandman. Although Chunk of Gold is not as gray as Sandman and Final Gambit. So there we go. A lot of people have got some long shots. Coal battle if it rains. I don't think it's going to be sloppy. I'll do another video if it comes up sloppy, but really it's going to rain. They've got 90 minutes between the turf race and the Kentucky Derby. It's only going to rain like a quarter of an inch or a half an inch. They'll run the tractors over it 30 times to get that track dried out. I just don't think it's going to be sloppy at all. Anthony says Japan first Derby with Luxor Cafe. And there we go. That's it. I'll be updating the prospectus. We'll see if render judgment scratches. Rodriguez has been scratched. 5G has been scratched in the Kentucky Oaks. And we'll see if we get any scratches announced tomorrow morning on Friday morning before the Derby. I will be doing another show tomorrow night around 7 o'clock. We'll see if there's any scratches and we'll update the pace scenario. So tomorrow night, I'll go live at 7 o'clock. Yeah, but a lot of that rain's going to be early in the morning and it's going to dry out by the Derby doesn't even run until 6 o'clock at night. So I'm really don't think it's going to be a sloppy track. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we'll do another show. We'll see if there's any scratches. We'll update our Oaks Derby doubles, look at some of the exacta payoffs, see if there's any inside money on the betting. But start handicapping. Alex is going to present his full Armada betting plan updated with Rodriguez scratch tomorrow. Silver Charm is going to give us a straight trifecta. And Anthony's going to give us his top 3 picks for the Derby all tomorrow night right here on the channel. Richard, we'll see you tomorrow right here. Remember, D. Wayne Lucas says, people have opinions, horses have the facts.